This is TWiT.
Jennifer, without further ado, why don't you take it away?
Sure, yeah. So this week, Amazon surprised us all with a brand new Echo Show smart display, which in my smart home world is big news and quite exciting. This is the Echo Show 21. And it is not their 21st device, although actually, if I counted all the Echo devices that have launched, I think we actually might be beyond 21.
Oh, wow.
But this is their 21-inch smart display, which is huge. Basically, we're now into TV territory, I think. And actually, that's what's kind of unique about this model. It's an upgrade from the Show 15, which came out a couple years ago, and it's the first Echo Show smart display that is also a Fire TV. So it is has built-in Fire TV capability, and this comes with a Fire TV Alexa voice remote. So it works both as a smart display to do things like show your calendar, weather, show video streams from a video doorbell or cameras, and be sort of a helpful tool for managing your home, also smart home controllers. Or you can pull out the TV remote and switch over and turn it into a Fire TV. I use an Echo Show 15 in my kitchen, and it is a great little kitchen TV. This is also wall mountable, which is another sort of new category in the smart display space. Originally, smart displays were very much stick it on a smart speaker. It was a touch screen on a smart speaker. The original Echo Show was an example of that. But now we're starting to see this wall-mounted element. And this one is big for the wall.
Yeah.
You're going to need some space on the wall. It's $400, which is quite spendy for a smart display, but not so much for a TV. But it is only 1080p, so this is not like high quality TV screen, which is kind of a shame. I was hoping they maybe would have bumped it up a little bit. That's what the Echo Show 15 was as well. But one of the nice features from my perspective that they've added is it's also a built-in smart home hub. So it has a Zigbee and Thread radio, and it works with Matter, which the old one did as well, but now you have Thread with Matter. So you can control more smart home devices than you could before, and also local control they've added to this device, which is a great feature in the smart home. From the TV perspective, they've improved the audio as well, and the camera has moved to the center and now has better sort of dynamic framing. So auto framing when you can be standing in your kitchen cooking and talking to your mum on an Alexa video call and move around, and it will be able to go with you, which is what other Echo Show devices have had before. So it's nice that they're bringing it to this one, which is really a good device to stick in your kitchen. At least the 15. I'm not sure about the 21. 21 is big. But they have also updated the Echo Show 15 with all of these features. So you get everything I've just said except for the giant screen. So that's a nice upgrade. It's now more expensive too. It's $300 instead of $250. But you get the remote with it. So it's kind of a fun gadget upgrade. I know we're all anxiously awaiting what Apple's about to do in this smart home display space. Well, there's been a lot of rumors about that over the last few months, weeks, even days. And we've talked about it before on the show. But it's like the smart display is sort of having a bit of a moment/identity crisis.
Yeah, because
right now, because this is a TV.
Right. And that's the thing. It seemed like for a while what they were doing was separating the two, right? It was this idea that you specifically weren't going to have a television. And then as people's use patterns became clear, they thought, oh, right, they actually would like to use this as a TV as well. You only need the one device. That makes more sense. I think that that's the way to go with it for sure, is this idea that you have a smart display that is partially the, to-do list, the stuff that you would have on your refrigerator, but then is also able to just serve as a television. I think that it's a clever sort of idea that's almost come back into style, or like come around the corner, right? Where we're not separating the two and it's all kind of working together. I'm also kind of curious about the size, especially because they've kept it at 1080p. I don't know though. I don't know how much, because I have trouble picturing the consumer that is after this specific device versus the smaller one, and whether they would be, not driven to it because of the fact that it is 1080p versus 4K. Are they spending a lot of time watching stuff on it? Do they plan to mostly use it as just a smart display that can tell them, the next step in the recipe? I just want to talk to these folks who end up getting this thing.
Yeah, so there are two things there. I think the first, I get what you're saying about have one device that does everything, which makes a lot of sense, except for when you're dealing with smart displays, because they're not very powerful. They're kind of underpowered, underprogrammed devices, because they're cheap, by and large. And an Echo Show in particular, I struggle with for touch control, like what is what I would want to use a touchscreen in my house for, is to press to control things. And it's kind of laggy and slow. And I'm a bit worried this getting bigger, if it's going to, we're going to, without getting better processor and a better screen, whether this is going to be a bit laggy and difficult to control. So we'll see. I think the Echo Show device is still very much focused on just showing you things, and you still control them with your voice. So I think what's the interesting thing about this, and one device I have in my house that I do really love that is almost as big as this, is the Skylight Max calendar. And that is a smart display calendar, and I have it vertically, and it shows all my family's calendar activities. And you can do that with the Echo Show too. It has a calendar feature. I don't think you can have just the calendar on it, but putting this on your wall vertically rather than horizontally might be a use case for people who want a bit more room for the different widgets that it has. The 15 could be a little cramped if you want to put a lot on it. As you can see in the picture in the article, that there's a lot of different widgets you can put on this, and the bigger screen will be a little bit more forgiving for that, I suppose, being able to move things around and see more content on a larger screen. That combination of functions in smart displays, whilst in theory making a lot of sense, in practice hasn't been a great experience so far. This is why, and it's interesting to see Amazon coming out with this big 21-inch, and then we're hearing Apple's potentially coming out with a little teeny 6-inch screen.
The opposite.
And the idea being you put those probably all around your house, and they're easier to control, but you're not going to stand there and watch the nightly news on it.
Right.
It's a device for controlling as opposed to a device for consumption. And that's kind of I think there's sort of a push and pull here. And I like smart displays that have functions specifically. Like, I like that this is a TV. I like the Echo Hub is a smart controller. I like the Echo Spot that is an alarm clock, rather than trying to shove everything into one device. And Amazon has multiple sizes and shapes, so it's kind of the Goldilocks approach, I suppose. There's something for everyone.
Yeah, you're right. That does make it make a little more sense, I guess, in terms of how it's being set up. I also find myself asking, because you never know how much a company is basing things on hope and a prayer, on spaghetti, sticking to a wall, on telemetry, as Microsoft would call it. And so that's the part where, because I always like to look at the marketing shots and see how the company seems to be positioning it.
Right.
And
use it.
Yeah, exactly. How they think you're going to use it. And in almost every one of the shots, they are showing it in like either an entryway or, as you pointed out, in a kitchen. Now, the one shot has it literally on the kitchen island, just in the middle of the kitchen island. There's no stinking way I'm going to have this on the corner of my kitchen island, taking up space. But I have to give them credit where credit's due. John, it's in the Amazon listing for it. I don't know if you'll be able to get to it by the time I'm done talking about it, but I have to give them credit where credit's due. They actually do show the cord running from the display down and ugly wrapped around the corner of the countertop and plugged in. They don't show where it's plugged in, but they show the cord, and that is nice because that's real and that's not. Yeah, that's one example. Further down, if you just keep scrolling, there's an actual like animated image of it zooming in on the countertop. But anyway, my point is, I wonder because, okay, this is what I'm trying to get at. In those images, they're also showing the rings of power, playing on this TV. And I'm going, the people who made that film, that took the time to color grade it and shoot it with the best possible cameras and this and that. And then they're just like, you can watch the rings of power on it. That makes me wonder if we are more speaking about myself, I think, here, and some of the other journalists who cover this stuff get a little bit too in our head about the specs, because I have to believe that Amazon has some insights into what its customers are interested in and what they're not, in theory. And so something suggests that they don't care that watching the Rings of Power on a 1080p screen that is not HDR isn't going to give the best quality. You can still watch the Rings of Power on it, whether it's sitting in your entryway or in your kitchen or wherever it happens to be. And that's interesting to me because it tells me, in theory, that people, your average user who's in theory going to purchase this thing doesn't really care all that much that it's not 4K and it's not this and it's not that. And so in that way, I find that fascinating. And it makes me wonder if that's going to be kind of the future, or whether, it speaks to what you would expect from the device.